Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and just 5 games remaining in Serie. The title, it seems, is done. It feels like Inter are going to win the Scudetto, and nobody's really going to catch them. But the race to finish in those Champions League places is really tight, and it's so surprising that Milan and Napoli, who like just about 3 weeks ago were fighting for the title, are now in jeopardy of not even finishing in the top 4 and not qualifying for the Champions League. 6 teams currently fighting it out to qualify for the Champions League, for the Europa League, for the Conference League. All of them want to be in Europe. Just 12-point difference between 7th place Atalanta and 2nd place Milan, and we're gonna see which team has an easier run, in which team has a better chance of finishing in the top 4, finishing the top 6 as well. Because as I said, it's not only the Champions League. There's a chance that all of them are fighting to stay in Europe. So let's go ahead and start. We are going to start with Milan, and if Milan, in my opinion, they have the toughest fixtures. They start at home with Juve this weekend. I think that's going to be a big game for both of these sides. Just a 3-point difference between these two teams currently, between Milan and Juventus have a chance to close the gap even further. After Juve, I think they go away to Sassuolo. This is the type of game that you would expect Milan to win, even though Milan's form has not been that good, but you still would expect that to happen. Atalanta at home, Atalanta, one of those teams trying to, they are 7th at the moment. They are 12 points behind Milan at the moment. But if Milan end up losing to Juventus and not getting any points against Sassuolo, and Atalanta win their games, there's a chance that that difference might be quite less when they meet each other. I think that is going to be a very tough game. And the last 2 games, it's Genoa away and a Cagliari at home. You sort of expect Milan to win those games. So if I'm being very honest, out of the possible 15, I expect Milan to win at least 3 of those games. But as I said, I personally think Milan have the toughest fixture out of the out of all the teams fighting it out to finish in the top half of the table, trying to qualify for the Champions League or the Europe as well. Moving on to 3rd place, Napoli. They have Cremonese at home. You would think that Napoli are gonna win that game. I think it's quite an easy game. The only tough fixture, it is Como away for them. Como, one of those teams yet again fighting it out for Europe. And then they have 3 sort of easiest fixture. Bologna at home. Even though Bologna are playing really good, it doesn't feel like they are gonna be that much of a threat. We saw what they did against Juventus over the weekend, because Bologna know it's impossible for them to qualify for Europe now. So they are basically in I just feel like they are in holiday mode at the moment. And Pisa away and Udinese at home, you expect Napoli to win those games. So I really think Napoli have a really great chance to finish in the top 4 and qualify for the Champions League. Especially when you look at the fixtures that Milan have, I think Napoli would be really happy. You then have Juventus, and Juventus are the form team. Out of the 6 teams that are trying to get into Europe, Juventus are the form team. They have won 6 out of their last 5 games. Everything is really working out for them, and their fixtures are really good as well. They start, of course, with that away game at Milan. That's the only tough fixture in my opinion. And after the last the 4 games are 3 of those 4 teams are in that relegation battle, and Torino themselves are not doing that as well. So they have Verona at home, Lecce away, Fiorentina at home, and Torino away. So Verona, Lecce, Fiorentina, all 3 of them in that relegation scrap. And all of those games, you would expect Juventus, especially with the way that they're playing, the form that they are in, you expect Juventus to go ahead and get those wins. And then Torino, the last game of the season away. By this time, I would be very surprised if Juventus have not already not qualified for the Champions League. I would be really surprised. But yet again, away to Torino, I expect Juventus to get the job done here. They're the first game against Milan. I think that is going to be really crucial. But for me personally, I think it's going to be more crucial, more important game for Milan than Juventus, looking at their fixtures. Because even if Juventus end up drawing that game, I think Juventus still have an easier path as compared to Milan and for the remaining games. And then you have Como. Como have been brilliant this season. They are over exceeding expectations, and but recently their form has not been that good. They are playing good football. They are entertaining. They are, but I think that the lack of experience is coming to them, catching up to them. Their game against Inter, their game over the weekend, they are just not being able to finish the games off. And if you look at their fixtures, I have Genoa away. They start with that, and I have, even though I have put it as in green, I think that's going to be a tough game for Como. They have Napoli at home. I think that's going to be a tough fixture as well. Both of these teams are struggling for form, and I think this weekend's games are going to be interesting for both of them to see how they approach the games that they are going to play against each other. Then the next three games, the last three games, you expect Como to win. Verona away, Parma at home, Cremonese at away. All three teams fighting for in that relegation scrap. And by the time these games come up, it might be possible that Verona and Cremonese might be already be relegated. So Como, I would still say the running is quite favorable to them, but their form is not that good. And I think that game versus Napoli is going to be really, really crucial for them. Then I think the team that has the easiest running, it is Roma. Bologna away, I think that's going to be a bit of a tough game, but apart from that, I think it's going to be very easy. Fiorentina at home, Parma away, Lazio at home, Verona away. I really expect Roma to win the last 5 games. I really think, because the way that they're playing their game against Atalanta over the weekend, I think it was such a great game. How that game ended 1-0, I'm still baffled, because it was such such an open game, such an the end-to-end stuff between both the teams, but and somehow still the game ended up 1-1, which was quite surprising. But if you look at the fixture, I think the Bologna away, that's going to be a bit of a tough fixture for them, but I still somehow think Roma are going to nick it. And after that, the last 4 games, I would be really surprised. Even though they have Lazio, I don't really think they are going to trouble them that much. And of course, by that point, even though now Lazio are not playing for anything, they are not going to be in Europe, they're not going to be in that relegation scrap. So I think they are going to be in holiday mode. So I think Roma are going to get the job done there as well. So I really think Roma are have the easiest fixtures. And then you have Atalanta. Again, Atalanta are really, if I'm being very honest with you, they have a bit of a tough fixtures. Cagliari away, they start this weekend. I think they should be winning that. Genoa at home, again, because they are home, I would expect them to win. That Milan away game, that could be really crucial for Atalanta. They are the side out of those European places at the moment. They are 7th. They need to win the games, and they need to hope teams above them draw points. So that game against Milan away to San Siro, I think that's going to be really crucial. They would be hoping at the moment that Milan end up losing to Juventus, and then they go ahead and they get that result away from Milan. So at least it helps them to push Milan back, because as I say, they are 12 points behind Milan. So it could turn out to be a very important game. That game against Bologna at home, that would be very tricky. Bologna are just below them 1 place, and Bologna at the end of the season, even though they are not playing for anything, they are going to be looking at these opportunities like, if we cannot qualify for Europe, we are going to make sure that Atalanta don't qualify for Europe as well. I think it will be an interesting game, but I still think Atalanta might win. And of course, they finish the season off away at Fiorentina, and I personally think Fiorentina are going to be safe. And I think by this, even though they are looking at the moment, they are in that relegation battle, and I think but I think by the time this game comes up, I think Fiorentina are going to be safe, and I think they are not really going to worry that much. So if I am looking at the fixtures of all the teams overall right now, I think Roma have the easiest fixtures, and I think they have a great chance of sneaking into the top 4 and qualifying for the Champions League. I think Napoli also have really good fixtures, and Juventus as well. So if I am a betting man, I would say Juve, Napoli and Roma. I think they are going to finish 2nd, 3rd and 4th in some of those orders. And as much as I would like Como to do that, I really think they might end up finishing in that Europa League place. And I think Milan are going to drop. They are 2nd at the moment, but their form is not good, and they have tough fixtures as well. And I think they might end up in that Conference League spot. And Atalanta, unfortunately, as much as I would want them in Europe, I really think they are going to stay at 7th. They need they are 12 points behind Milan. They are 9 points behind Juventus. So it's tough for them, but anything can happen for them. But at the moment, I think they stay 7th. Milan I think finish 6th, Como 5th, and Napoli Napoli, Juventus, Rome. I think these three are going to qualify for your top four, and they are going to qualify for the Champions League. That's for me. These are my predictions. I think that's what's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think has a easier running up until the end of the season? Who do you think has more chance of qualifying for the top four for Europa League or Conference League? Let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 600 subscribers before the end of the season, about 40 plus subscribers remaining, so please go ahead and subscribe and help the channel out. Until next time, bye bye.